Hey folks, we're here today with Fly Me to the, a game by one of our subscribers, Zulf. I'm excited to check it out. I know nothing about it. I booted it to make sure that it ran correctly. My understanding is that Zulf made this for a game jam, and so it was made like over a weekend, and is effectively a demo for what Zulf's actively looking to do with it. So I'm going to try to get my feedback here. I've done this one other time. We played Pathological Tires, which was a game in recent development. So let me check it out here. Let me make sure that it's coming through in video. 1 second. Okay, I think I've fixed the issue. Let's go ahead and check it out. I think we're going to be playing on easy because it's marked as still pretty hard. So we'll try that out. WASD to move, J to jump to Nurth, press L to land, and escape to pause. Okay, let me start the timer. Now, I think, Zulf, you were saying that part of the theme for this... Oh, that's cool. The theme for the game jam was an unusual or unconventional style of combat. And I assume, is that referring to using your jets behind you to destroy the enemies? Instead of having like a conventional gun or something? I kind of dig that. That's cool. Imagine that's... creates for some interesting gameplay scenarios. More than that too, gotcha. And I know you said you were looking for critical feedback here in terms of stuff to change. Is this entirely with the keyboard? Does it use the mouse at all? No fuel. Oh, okay. There's a time limit on that. And I don't crash to my death if I pass by a planet. That's good. Oh, interesting. So I get some fuel back when I jump, but it looks like it maintains my momentum during the jump, right? So I can float away if I don't immediately press L when I land back there. So I guess that would be something like probably after doing the hyperspace jump, cancel all active momentum. All right, let's try landing right away this time. Beautiful home planet. Giant super metropolis is surrounded by a world reclaimed by nature. You can find anything you need here on Earth. So there's a store. Grew up in the city, you know where to get stuff. Greeples. I love it. Okay, so these are upgrades. So I need to find a way to get extra Greeples. Is that like from doing missions and the like? It's a bustling spaceport. Purglings waiting for a ship to take them to their destination. Oh, am I like space trucking? 0 out of 9 passengers. Waiting the longest gets to board first. Board passengers, bring them to their destination. Disboard them and be paid well for the service. Okay. I see. So I need to, like, deliver people places without getting killed by these giant space flies. And that'll get me money to buy, like, upgrades for my ship to get more fuel efficiency and the like. I think I understand. I wonder if it makes sense to load you directly into this menu. You do have the press L to land, and I think it's possible to die so quickly from just flying around or running out of fuel that maybe you don't need to do that. Because if you die, you're going to load back in and try something different, and if you run out of fuel, you're going to jump, and the jump will kind of prompt you to land. So I think the way you have it set up works, given how quickly, if you just choose to explore immediately, you kind of get redirected back here. I think that's smart. Special mission. Reestablish communication with all 6 planets. Return to Earth to get the next mission. Try to stay alive. You're the system's only hope. It's been 3 weeks since the Flylian appeared. People panicked. Purglings on our own. As the bravest pilot, you're recruited to help. Given a top secret briefing. Oh, I like the little crowd chatter in the background. That's cool. Okay, so you're safe on the planet. I wasn't sure on that because I kept seeing the flies spinning around, but as long as you're like in the circle around it, you can't be hurt. Travel to each planet, bring them the tech we've loaded in your cargo. Okay. So visit planets, potentially bring planets with you. I love all the planet names, very like Rick and Morty. Grubu, Shreebly, Teuton. All right, I think I saw a planet to the southeast, but is the map generating differently each time here? If we touch the edges of the map, you leave the solar system. Okay, interesting. I'm guessing I can minimize my fuel usage here by not holding down the button constantly, only pressing it, like depending on momentum. Can I pause? Okay, I can pause. I'm just going to turn the game audio up a little bit since it's a bit quiet. Let's try that. Yeah, I dig it. I think it's funny. It always blows my mind that people could even make a game this fast. Screwed it up, didn't I? So this is interesting. It looks like if I'm out of fuel but was holding the fuel button the moment I run out of fuel, I can continue to propel myself indefinitely. Okay, let's try that again. Land, board. I am starting in a different place every time, confirmed. Okay. I guess I could use that to kill things there. Here we go. Something I'm expecting to be a thing, maybe this is an upgrade you unlock later, like a reverse thruster, where if I press S, I could slow down. But maybe that's part of the difficulty that you can't do that ever. Vast nature, small but elite cities, spaceport, onboard destination passengers, of which I have one. Okay. And that gets me some money. Gotcha. But fuel efficiency and fuel capacity, does the price change depending on what planet it is? Like some planets charge more or less for these things? Oh, a shield charge. That's interesting. So that's one hit point, basically, if I crash into something. Load the equipment, set up the satellite. Cool. That's cool. Does the different prices, is that just set for each of the different planets, or is it randomly generated with each run? Oh, wow. Did not deserve to live there, but I'll take it. Set in advance by planet. Okay, so once you've played the game a bit, you can kind of get a feel for it. I could see a reverse thruster being an optional upgrade, if not something you start with. Teuton. Cool. Don't have anyone going to Teuton. All they can do is fuel me, but I should probably do that. So as I arrive, is it me clicking on the special mission that flags it as complete, or does it get flagged as complete just as I land it or touch it? It's just as you land. I think adding some kind of like interface pop-up or something when you land to tell you that you've done it and maybe confirm what all you have remaining to do would be nice there. Oh, I like that your map reminds you of the planets you've already visited once you've been there. That's cool. Maybe like a little jingle or something to tell you that you did the thing. And you can always hyper jump back to Earth, or do you only get to do that one time and then you have to pay for more charges? Shoot. All right, special mission, spaceport, board. You have to pay for more charges after the first one. Okay. So hopefully you accomplish something and get some money in the process of running out of fuel for the first time and having to use your emergency charge. Another piece of feedback I'd probably add is that I think it's correct that the first time you play the game, you have to board the passengers manually and click on the special mission to accept it. But I think that because the player is going to die so readily and that's such a quick thing to do every time, maybe adding an option after the second or third death to just start the run automatically with a ship full of passengers and with the initial mission accepted. It's probably you probably want to have that be a thing that gets offered after you've died a certain number of times. I think that also conveys to the player that this game is hard and you're expected to die like that. Land, spaceport, board. There's basically no reason not to fully board the ship, right? It's just a minor time save since it's something you would do every single time. Oh, that's the death zone. Oh, it's kind of you to not instantly kill you when you touch the blast line. Give you a second to escape. Yeah, no worries. This is the kind of thing that you can't do in 3 days, right? If you're just making the game really quickly. Go. come on. Land. Harsh lava planet where industrialists thrive. Yeah, so it'd be cool if, as I landed here, there was like a little pop-up in the corner that was like, you know, plus whatever money, or mission complete. And here, I guess I onboard, and that happens. Okay, and then I get the plus money, but maybe like a little plus 28 in green that pops up and like fades upward, and it plays a little jingle once I drop them off. And I didn't realize last time that I can start boarding passengers, so I should always be boarding and unboarding whenever I arrive places. Okay, special mission. Yeah, and I think that, let's see, if I click off and back onto this, okay. I think that you want the player to see the text for the special mission. So I think when they land at the planet, special mission should be highlighted. There should be like a glowing yellow outline or something on it to kind of prompt the player to click on it. Well, I'm gonna get this fuel efficiency upgrade and then refuel. I'm almost broke. Something to prompt them to click on this to see the text, and then maybe it goes away after they've seen it once. And probably something similar for spaceport, because I think you want to have something glowing for the spaceport that you have passengers who this is their destination, you want to drop them off. And then also, you probably want the spaceport to be glowing if you have space for passengers, but it's not currently full and you can board some here, right? Because you may as well do that every time. So just kind of something on the UI side that when you land to know, okay, I want to click on the special mission and see the text. I want to drop off any passengers that are available, and I want to make sure I refill passengers. And I don't want to leave until that's done, because that's something I should do every single time. All right, let's see if I can survive long enough to drop everybody off a couple times here. No problem. I like your ideas in this game. It's kind of cool. It's like an arcadey, Elite Dangerous kind of a space truckin'. All right, so we've already been here. Will people on other planets ask to be brought to Earth occasionally? That's cool. Oh, okay, I've never played Escape Velocity before. Interesting. Oh, shit. Okay. All right. Thought I was already dead there. God. I kept thinking that you like put some gray bits on the map there, but it was just some smudge on my monitor. I was like, oh, there must be something special there. It's like a cloud or something. No, it's monitor smudge. You probably don't need this, but maybe having a little bit of a maybe you could do this as a thing that you can get on different planets. So like one of the things you can buy is scout information. It would be neat if you could immediately spend some money right at the beginning of the game. So if I could pay like, I don't know, 10 greeples for a scout, and that wouldn't show me the location of a planet, but it would highlight a general area where there definitely is one. And being able to do that each time. It seems like it's fine to just kind of fly around the playable space to find something, but it would be good if the player already has money to have something to use it on right away. I think the game becomes extra interesting once you have kind of an active map of the place and a couple shield charges so that you don't die right away. If you don't, I'm probably going to stay on easy for the duration of this stream, but what changes in the higher difficulties? Or maybe it involves stuff that I haven't even encountered yet because I'm still not like getting to the first part successfully. Oh, here's a planet. The gas giant in the Schmeagol solar system. On board. Board. Special mission as you land. Scientists approach you. You can get to work. It's a beautiful planet. Oh, interesting. So I can get a free hyperjump charge, but I don't need one. Okay, because you can only store one at a time, basically. I don't think I can get too far without going to Earth from there. Okay. You start getting more flies regardless. It would be nice if hyper jumping arrested all your momentum, just set it to 0 immediately. And then I think also, I don't know if it's possible to add some kind of gravity well for some of the planets, so it's a little bit easier to land, that once you're like end in the center of it, you kind of have to give it some force to get out. Because it seems like it's really easy to just kind of fly over the planet, you know, unless if you're mashing the L button when you get close to it. Let's do refuel. And okay, I can't get hyperjump charges for free, so I better be careful now. Yeah, and folks in chat, feel free to provide some feedback. Just a reminder, Zolf made this game over like 3 days for a game jam, so this is kind of what you need to do after you have a working prototype, is ask for feedback like this, so. Oh, that's a neat idea. So like the corridor between beacons is safe, or it's like it kind of mirrors the shield mechanic from that's already around planets, so that if flies fly into it, they die. I guess that's also kind of an unconventional method of combat, right? That you're kind of defensively building fences. That's neat. Either a corridor or even like a little sphere, I suppose. All right, let's drop people off. Thank you, wealthy Purgling. I see, so it looks like I'm already getting more flies now just from getting 2 planets, right? Planet of frigid wastelands, scarcely inhabited by only the toughest Purgling. Oh, let me see if I can pop out. Minor bug there. If you happen to be accelerating at the same moment you interact with the planet, the thruster sound continues playing on a loop until you back out and re-land. Word. Group of scientists unload and set up the satellite from your cargo hold. I can definitely feel the like roguelike stakes rising the more planets I touch. I gotta be extra careful. I think another cheap upgrade you could get at the beginning, in addition to getting an initial scout, would be ooh, good lord. I don't know what you would call it, like a navigation computer or something. Something that would, like, in the solar map in the corner, leave, like, a trail of the path you most recently took, so you can try to avoid, like, covering the same ground that you've already covered. Kind of mirroring the... shoot. There's a thing like that in Breath of the Wild where you can kind of see a line showing where you just recently walked to. And, like, it gets darker the more recent it is, you know, and starts to fade out the further back it is. Yeah, flares, actually, I kind of like the idea of flares. If you go with something like you figure the enemies are fly aliens, so it would be kind of flavorful for, instead of them flying into a shield, they fly into like a bug zapper that specifically draws their aggro into them. Where if there happens to be one on your screen, it pulls into that. Oh shit. On board, special mission. Fuel efficiency is cheaper here, that's nice to see. You can just track the bugs by ejecting passengers, that's great. Oh, and I missed this music control. Try using that, sorry. I feel like that should be an optional upgrade. Maybe a really cheap one, like 5 greeples or 1 greeple or something, where it'll just play one song when you start, but you can pick that to change it. That'll kind of call people's attention to it if they're just focusing on the gameplay part. I can adjust the audio here. Okay, that's cool. H to hide GUI. Yeah, I think you want to add interesting upgrades that are relatively cheap that the player can access early, many of which are unique to specific planets so that the planets stand out a bit more. And some ideas I can think of would be like, you know, auto passenger, like when you arrive at the planet, just as soon as you get there, you automatically unload everybody and load as many people as you can, and it just like gives you the money right away. If you made that a cheap, like, you know, 20-ish greeple upgrade, it would be exciting to find it. I think we're back. I'm having this OBS crash issue that keeps getting worse and worse over time. Anyway, yeah, just trying to think of more upgrades and then making the upgrades unique to specific places I think would be cool so that you're excited about finding each of the planets. I assume passenger limit upgrades come in later. Yeah, I agree that if there's no reason to take fewer passengers, it should always be fill up passengers like it is onboard all passengers. Trying to think of other upgrades you could do. Thinking of other space games like space shooters like Gradius will have what they'll call an option, like a little orb guy that's like floating around you. I feel like that would be interesting and non-degenerate with a shield charge, that if you had something floating around you that when it touched a fly, the fly would die, and maybe the option or whatever would take a little bit to recharge before it would come back and be able to hit a fly again. Because that would also be non-conventional combat, because if it's rotating around you, you can't be certain that it's going to hit something, you know? Non-passenger cargo is a cool idea. I don't know about the map being a tourist, though. Like, is there a reason you have the death zone on the edges? Actually, when I first started playing, I assumed that I would just like wrap around if I went off the right side, but this could be bad. You are dead. Very good. Word. Oh, it screws up the bug AI. Okay, interesting. So maybe that's a long-term kind of a thing. I think maybe for easy difficulty, your passengers can act as hit points, where whenever you get hit by something, some number of your passengers die instead of your ship going out. I guess it doesn't necessarily make sense, but you're saying you can already eject the passengers to the bugs. Maybe that's an upgrade. Auto eject passenger when a bug gets too close. It would be cool to eventually have some kind of like notoriety system where things are, the more times you let passengers die like that, the worse things get. Clearly, what this game needs is a morality system where you can go around ejecting people into bugs, or be a friendly space trucker who avoids them. No, I'm just kidding. That might be a bit too much of a scope increase. They're random, yeah. I think, I don't know, but I'll have to think about this a bit more, but I think every planet should probably have a refuel option. Like, I would rather it have an insanely expensive refuel option that would be inadvisable to use every time than no refuel option. Oh, shit. So what's happening? Sometimes I'm, like, grazing an asteroid and not dying. Am I, like, starting with a shield charge that's protecting me? Okay, it's going to be really hard to hyperjump if I already have momentum. I think when you run out of fuel, you should still be able to do, maybe this is going to require the reverse thruster thing to help you stop, but you should still be able to do something to stop, you know, like a really, really weak puttering that lets you push back against your current momentum. Maybe not move even a little bit in the dead of space. You start with a shield charge, okay. Maybe it's only been I just happen to be hitting asteroids whenever I don't die from that. Yeah, I like that you have the hyperspace as the solution to running out of fuel, but I feel like it's likely that you'll just have so much momentum that by the time your hyperspace goes off, you'll already hit the edge of the map. I think that would be less punishing if the map was toroidal, like Ravanon was saying, but the blast zone on the edge of the map is pretty nasty. Oh, you get a free shield recharge every time you touch a planet. Okay, that's cool. So if your shield recharges for free whenever you touch a planet, I think that makes me like the idea of beacons that have shield around them a little bit better. Because then also touching those shield beacons could restock your shield. And you could be trying to slowly make everything a little bit safer to traverse. Refuel. Yeah, trade goods would be cool. Having to make a decision between passengers and other kinds of cargo might be cool. I feel like there's a lot of design space in passengers versus cargo. Like, you can bring both passengers and hazardous cargo, but the longer your trip takes, if the passengers are near hazardous cargo, the sicker they become, the chance that they just die en route. So interactions between passengers and cargo, interactions between cargo and hazards. Like, I think, oops, it's really easy to forget to pick stuff up at the beginning. 1 second, just kill myself, maybe. I think maybe for beacons are about bringing specific people and materials maybe to build the beacon. Because right now, when I board passengers, the only thing I care about is what's their destination, right? And that's kind of random and not up to my control. But if there are certain passengers who are like engineers, and only the engineer can build a station, or build a beacon out in space, you need to have like one engineer and 2 pieces of cargo material. So you have to make the choice: do I build these safety beacons where I can recharge shield, or do I deliver them places to get money? Yeah, I like that idea. But I think what you want to do is you want to think about your ingredients in your stew here. You know, there's the ship, There's planets that have a shield around them. There's asteroids. There's flies. There's passengers. There's special missions. And there's the store. And you want to like just kind of put those all in a spreadsheet and like put them all in the spreadsheet on the y-axis and put them all in the spreadsheet on the x-axis, and then like try to think of a cool interaction between each one of those assets. It's kind of how you would explore your design space, I think. Maybe you can even ask, like, how do 3 of these things interact? How do 4 of these things interact? Eventually that gets too complicated, but... Fuel capacity is pretty cheap here. Okay. Yeah, I think the solar map, 2 upgrades you could do. One is just showing the path of where you've been. The other one is kind of giving a small explorer radius around the ship that will reveal a planet on your map before you can actually see it on the screen. It could be nice. Spaceport, onboard, board, refuel. Can't afford the fuel efficiency, even though it's reasonably cheap here. Imagine things open up a bit once you've actually visited every planet once, but it's actually quite hard, like you were saying, on easy difficulty, to do that without dying. I think you might be able to separate out the features of easy, normal, and hard a bit more instead of just fly spawn rate. I think maybe easy, you have 2 shield charges by default and they both come back at every planet would be nice. Or changing, if you think about the attributes of each of your assets here. So like right now, my thrusters do nothing to asteroids. They only damage flies. So that could be something you upgrade into, or it could be something that's difficulty based that my thrusters could deal with them on lower difficulties. Okay. I can see that being pretty useful. That might be one of the things to add after like 3 deaths. You know, you automatically at Nurth fill your passengers and you automatically accept the mission. Maybe also you automatically spend money on the shield charge. If the game is balanced, assuming that you did that, you could have it a thing that they can turn on and off if they need to for whatever reason. If part of the design objective is unconventional combat, I like the idea of trying to lead the bugs into like little bug zappers everywhere. I didn't even notice the shield charge actually. Another thing you could do that I kind of like, that again, thinking about it in terms of making a spreadsheet where the x-axis is all of your assets and the y-axis is all of your assets again, and then asking how they interact. Like, it would be cool if you could make the bugs interact with the asteroids in some way. I get that you're trying to avoid giving the ship like an explicit laser gun that just shoots the bugs, but it might be cool if instead you could shoot like a bug zapper onto an asteroid that causes the asteroid to draw the attention of all the bugs in the area. That'd be pretty high skill. Like, it'd be pretty hard to land that shot and actually get the thing on the asteroid. But that would cause them to interact. It can cause maybe if some number of bugs interacts with an asteroid, that the asteroid gets destroyed. That's still unconventional, I think. You're not directly shooting things. It's on board. Can't afford special mission. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things you can come up with for dealing with the flies. I got pretty crazy thunderstorms at the moment, so if I lose stream, I'll report in Discord. I think we're okay for the moment, though. Do want to get a 3rd shield charge eventually. Fuel capacity is not too bad. I personally think the fuel capacity upgrade should give you the fuel associated with the increased capacity, but I understand why you don't do that. I think ways to gather things in space aside from visiting new planets could be cool. If you go with the idea I was talking about shooting a bug zapper onto an asteroid, it seems like it's difficult to destroy asteroids. You destroy them either by burning a shield charge by colliding with them, or you happen to see two asteroids collide into each other in space. So having them drop something that can go in your cargo could be interesting, like minerals or something, because that would give you a reason to not fill up your cargo. Right now, it seems like it's always correct to have a full cargo, but if you needed to have space to pick up lucky mineral drops from asteroids that crash into each other, I think that would be neat. Oh, fuel's expensive here, damn. It would be nice if on repeat attempts, the game remembered your music choice from the previous attempts. It's easy for me to forget. Let's see. Cool. I definitely get the sense that you're going for roguelike over roguelite, which is completely acceptable. But I think if you were considering adding any kind of progression upgrades or temporary upgrades, you could focus them all on quality of life stuff, like the thing I was talking about, where you can toggle on the ability to start a run automatically filling your passenger hold, automatically accepting the special mission, automatically buying the shield upgrade, for example. So I think you could even include silly stuff like remember your music choice, right? Or, you know, you start with a scouted location or something. It's fine. I think adding specific relationships with individual planets would be a neat idea. Maybe that's something that comes up more once you complete visiting each planet once. Or like saying specifically that Flurban and Grubu have a relationship might be cool. Or there's like a quest associated with those two. Nice work. First try. Need to stop the flow. Load your cargo with the equipment needed to construct the device. Go to Shreebly with the plans are head to Lavon. Ah, okay, interesting. I think once you get the quest, either an on-screen reminder of the quest or maybe a highlight on those planets, either around the dot or around the name would be nice, like a little green target icon or something. Maybe a button you can press to remind you of the current objective. But I can remember Shreebly Lavon. I think if you're not able to make a Taurus work, my next best recommendation would say that moving towards the edge of the map just keeps sending you off map and then rapidly drains your fuel. Death seems like a surprisingly brutal penalty for touching the edge of the map, and like running out of fuel is almost as bad as dying, but at least you can hyperspace back and then spend the money to get the charge back, you know? Can't afford that. Lavon is always south. Yeah, I could see a Taurus not working on your first pass if it was screwing up their AI. That makes perfect sense. Oh, God. Okay. Well, that was going much better. I'm wondering if it would make sense. I like the idea of you immediately have enough money to get a shield upgrade at the beginning, but when you only have one upgrade, it kind of ceases to be a choice. It's just like the correct thing to do, right? So I wonder if you could have two things that both cost 100 on Nerf, and it's kind of up to the player. Do you want an extra shield charge, or do you want extra speed, or something like that, right? Board. I think starting with 2 is a good deal, yeah. I feel like starting with 2 would also do a good job to communicate to the player what the shield is. I mean, I might be silly because I'm focusing on a bunch of other things, but I didn't even appreciate what was going on with the shield until I noticed that I was clipping an asteroid a few times. So that might be another thing, is that when you lose a shield charge, it might need to be a little bit more dramatic, like screen flash or something highlighting in the corner that you're out temporarily, just something to draw your attention to the fact that, oh, I had something and now I don't, you know? I like the idea of having a shield that very slowly recharges. I think the idea is you should be landing a lot to replenish shield, but... Yeah, I think an easy difficulty shield regen should just be on by default without having to pay for it. Mild shield regen, right? Like, it still could take like 20 seconds or something to get a full bubble back, but... Again, imagining the design space as a table that you built in Excel with all the assets talking to each other. I'm like trying to think, how can different assets talk to each other, and like what kind of implications does that have for the setting? This is silly, but I like the idea of like, what if your passengers could interact with your fuel? That if you run out of fuel, you can start burning passengers as fuel. Like, the literal way to do that is the classic, you know, astrophysics problem. If you have a laser pointer in space, what's the best way to get more momentum out of the laser pointer? And the answer, it's kind of a trick question. It's to throw the laser pointer, because it'll send you in the opposite direction. So it might just be kind of goofy to show you like jettisoning passengers behind the ship to get a little bit of extra jump when you run out of fuel. But you could actually do something like lore related, that maybe the people in this universe are fuel. It's like a biofuel or something. To me, I think that's a lot of the fun of designing games like this, of like, you make your system, you ask how do your assets interact with each other, and then you ask, does that create interesting or silly lore implications for my setting? Like, do I have a setting where people are fuel? Maybe not necessarily. Sometimes you'll ask that question and say, no, that's too silly, I'm not going for that, but... Yeah, I guess the shield bubble could be a little bit more apparent. I can see it because I'm staring at it now, but at the beginning I certainly didn't notice it. I can see it, it's just extremely faint. Can you guys not see it on stream? I guess I can see it in OBS too. It might help if it was like pulsating very slightly instead of a static circle around the ship. Yeah, soil and propellant, exactly. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Just had a disastrous climb around this place. It's found nothing interesting. I think I happened to write my momentum there, but I think a very small gravity well for all planets would be helpful in cases like that, where you like actually make it to the planet, but you run out of fuel before you're able to land, so you can kind of just drift into it. It looks like I can see the shield flash brighter when I get hit by something. That's... The shield is pretty subtle. I feel like as like flavorful as Soylent Fuel is, like the the image in my mind of like literally throwing people out of the back of your ship to get a bit of a boost is too funny almost not to do, even though it's kind of stupid. I feel like that's like instant Reddit meme potential. Like I made a game where you fly a ship and if you run out of fuel, you have to throw people out of it. Yeah, I just need to restart anyway. Shield, okay. Yeah, I think something to color in the solar map for explored space is probably one of the biggest first changes I would recommend if I had to like put a priority on anything. Just having it be like a lighter gray or something if you've been there at the beginning, it just makes the beginning of the game a little bit easier so that you don't have to like go on this really simple grid pattern to make sure you cover everything. That went pretty well. Take it. Yeah, I enjoy that very much. Passengers are fuel. I think that's really goofy and kind of flavorful. Also, I think it kind of has the added benefit of making your game title a double entendre. It's fly me to the, like, fly me as in I'm a passenger on your ship, or fly me as in use me as propellant. All right, let's see. Again, you don't have to do any of the stuff I'm saying. That's how my brain works when thinking about design space in games. How do all of the things you came up with talk to each other? Do they talk to each other? Does that create any implications that are fun? Yeah. You must really want to go where you're going if you know there's a risk that your captain's going to say, well, who drew the short straw? Oh, interesting. I have negative funds. How did that happen? I didn't even think that would be possible. Shit. It's okay. Still good. Still good. Yeah, fly me to the moon. Oh, okay. That's smart. It just puts you in debt. I think an on-screen indicator when you do that would be cool. If it's like, will put you in debt or something. Hey, Serp, how you doing? Let's get this going again. Onboard, board. Cool. Wow, fuel is really expensive here. That was a huge mistake. I think this run's actually over now because of that. Do you have a press to quick restart button in case you screw up? I guess you can just fly off the map really fast. Exactly. I haven't changed anything though. That's a pretty significant change. Okay. .720p is still reprocessing it, and it's not putting it out at 60 frames per second or at the same bit rate. So if it's not drawing the shield 60 times per second, you might miss it if you're not on source. I've had the opposite issue on a couple games where there'll be a thing that's obviously flickering, and people not watching on 720p 60 will just see it as a flat, always on thing instead of flickering appropriately. Yeah, I feel like stuff like that, any kind of like strictly quality of life progression stuff would be cool. Doesn't affect your progress at all, or is just cosmetic, like changing the color of the jet coming out of the back of your ship, right? I think it would be neat to give the player some control over what passenger destinations they take. Obviously you don't want to do that throughout the whole game, but I suppose at the beginning when you don't know where anything is, it's a risk. If I decide to take all Teuton passengers and Teuton's the last planet I find, then that was a mistake, right? But again, I think that's the thing that you would gate. You wouldn't want that to be the way it works immediately. It would be after a certain number of deaths. Now you can try to filter for passengers with specific destinations in mind. Also, I like the idea of passenger biofuel too, because then you can roll for new passengers by intentionally flinging them into space to use as fuel. You're like, shit, you want to go to Gurubu? Well, I'm going to take you out there and throw you out the airlock. All right. So are the prices for each planet are fixed, right? So like if there's a planet that has really expensive fuel, it'll always have really expensive fuel. Oh, I must have misunderstood. Does your propellant not actually kill flies? Is it that I happen to be doing it right as they hit my shield? It does. Okay, my bad. This was a super expensive fuel planet, if I recall. Oh, nice. Wow. Money, money, money. Let's see if I can make it back to Nurth. Spending too much in fuel. Oh shoot, it looks like the game has shifted down a bunch. My bad. I must have done that by mistake while I was fixing it earlier. There we go. Hopefully y'all didn't miss anything from that. Onboard, board, new mission. Oh, I still need to find one more planet, don't I? Okay, that's why. So where haven't I been? I don't know. I was able to do the main mission one time, so I count that as a victory. I think you've got just about the right map size. I don't think it needs to be any bigger or smaller. Yeah. Even if it's like super mild, I feel like that almost shouldn't even be an upgrade. I think the upgrade should be, maybe the radius around the ship that it colors in on the solar map. Agreed. I guess another thing to think about is that once you've explored the map, it's relatively static, aside from the dynamically spawning flies and I'm gonna die. Yeah, flies and asteroids. So I wonder if you can try to think of things that could appear on the map temporarily or appear on the map with a time limit. Like, it would be fun if you were flying around and there was some kind of event that spawned and you could get an upgrade that told you about these events so that you knew to fly somewhere else other than the existing planets. Oh, play on hard? Okay, 1 second. Let me kill myself real quick. Oh, flying the wrong way. It's fine. This is fine. Yeah, for sure. Only the bravest gamers. Oh my god. That's a lot of flies. I feel like easy is already hard. As you've correctly labeled on the title screen, I think an interesting way to get more value out of the different difficulty settings is to focus it less around the fly and asteroid spawn rate and more around the shield. I think the shield is your difficulty meter, where on easy it regenerates to some extent. On normal, only one of the two shields regenerates, and on hard, there's no shield regeneration at all. And I think that if hard is similar to this, and maybe the fly spawn rate increases as the game progresses, but hard is the current version of easy. With the current version of easy's fly spawn rate, I think that would still be quite difficult if you didn't get any natural shield regen. Only got it when you visited a planet. There you go. Hey, Tryhard, how you doing? Just something to think about. I don't know if that's the right answer, but there's a really important... oh, yeah, I'll take another one. Oh, I forgot to get it on the first planet. Shoot, that's why. There's an important comment from Mark Rosewater, Magic the Gathering, and that's that players are really good at noticing problems with your game, and they're really bad at designing solutions. So if I said something as an idea and you don't think it's going to work for the game, consider, like, maybe what the root problem was that I was describing, and if you have a different solution to it. Yeah. And I'll have this up on YouTube. I think unfortunately the Twitch VOD's going to get borked because of that OBS crash we had earlier, but you can always check it on YouTube and review the feedback people gave in chat. Thanks to everybody in chat for giving some feedback. This is a cool concept, though. It's really neat. Like, I could not put a game together of this complexity in 3 days over a game jam. But I think this further sells me on the idea of game jams, because it's interesting to see how many ideas just kind of like naturally arise from a brief little playable demo like this, right? I've never heard of it before, Tryhard. I'd be down to try it. Is it V Rising? Yeah, I think you want to double down on death. You're going to die, right? The kind of losing is fun thing. So having things unlock based on deaths might be cool. Maybe you don't want to incentivize the player to just drive to the end of the map, so maybe they have to make it get a certain amount of progress to get those death unlocks, like death after visiting at least one planet. Oh, sure. Yeah, I'd love to check it out. I'll add it to the spreadsheet. I'll let you know when you get scheduled, Tryhard. If you're in my Discord, I'll make sure I tag you. I like the idea of some minor incremental upgrades. I think this game would work better as a roguelite, but if you're, philosophically opposed to those kinds of progression upgrades, I totally get it. This game was cool, though. Thank you for sharing. I hope that feedback was helpful. And again, it'll be on YouTube if you wanted to review it again. If you have another draft of this in a few months or something and want to have me play it again, I would be more than happy to.